Hello, Ghost J Ghost here with another video. Today I'm going to be playing some Adom, or Ancient Domains of Mystery, whichever you prefer. And this is a roguelike game, which means character death is permanent. You die, you have to create another character. Fortunately, there's a large selection of characters and things you can choose from various shades of elves to gnomes, humans, orcs, ratlings, trolls, and hobbits. And then there's also a whole bunch of classes you can choose from. I'm going to choose a random one. You can always choose random, but you can also select manually. Like here it says I got a female gnomish fighter was my randomly generated one. I'm going to use points to max out toughness, which establishes hit points, and strength, which will let me do melee damage and stuff like that, which is very important. Let's see. There. Then you can also choose starting talents, which gives you boost to certain things in the game. For just starting out, we recommend healthy, because it lets you heal faster, and hardy, which isn't very good by itself, but leads to a bunch of toughness feats later. Name. Some dumb girl. Anyways, the biggest complaint about this particular roguelike is there's lots of key bindings you have to learn. That's not actually true. You can do pretty much everything by clicking the mouse, and enter will bring up a bunch of buttons which change depending on circumstance. So you can do pretty much everything by clicking the mouse. The important keybinds are I for your inventory, and Shift A will let you view your skills. This is starting village Terranio, which when you get here you get a quest to talk to 3 people in here. What is not readily revealed is that there's exclusive quests. If you take one particular quest, you can't take the other. So it's very important to talk to them in the right order, because you'll automatically get their quest when you talk to them. This guy, right there, the Druid, will give you a quest, which at the end of it will give you the chance to get the herbalism skill, which is very useful for training your stats up above where they started eventually. But it is the harder of the 2 quests. I do not have the herbalism skill, but I don't have the healing skill either, which many consider to be more important, because it lets you heal more often, as well as better. This is the village elder. He will, of course, give you the chance to get that skill, so you should talk to him first. And again, you don't have to actually complete any of these quests, but it helps you finish the game. The main objective of the game, of course, is to stop chaos from destroying the world. That little girl gives you a quest also when you talk to her, to save her puppy dog, which you generally do after the first quest. That cave there, which wasn't there before, is the puppy dog cave. And the second level always contains ants, which are kind of dangerous enemies for that low level. And this is the village dungeon, which has the healer quest. I like Adom particularly well because, unlike most games of the roguelike genre, it's not super random. There are times in the early game where the RNG will kill you, but generally after the first or second dungeon, anytime you die it's your own fault and you could have avoided it. This isn't always the case, of course. RNG will occasionally throw you a curveball, but after the first or second dungeon you should be equipped to deal with almost anything the game can throw at you. Okay, and I just leveled up. Generally when you level up you have 3 skills that you can choose to increase. If you have really high learning, you'll have more options. I don't. But dodge is really good because it adds to your defensive value, which means that you're harder to hit. Archery is really good because it adds to your ability to hit with ranged weapons, your ability to hit and your damage. And athletics is good because it gives your character more speed and occasionally a random stat boost. So we're going to go with that. Let's see. Very important. These 2 things up here, DV is your defensive value and PV is your protection value. One is dodging, one is armor. Basically, your PV subtracts just flat out the damage done. So if something would do 20 damage and you've got 4 PV like I do, it would only do 16 damage. But some enemies punch through armor. They're very dangerous that way. You always want to open doors at an angle, because sometimes they'll be booby-trapped. Wands can be very interesting. You want to shoot them at an angle, because sometimes they bounce like that, and you can hit yourself if you're not careful. Usually you'll get an indication of what kind of wand you fired. You didn't this time, but pink rays are wands of stunning. So if you go back here where I took to shot it from, and you enter the capital letter of the lowercase level over there. See, it says A next to it, so if you use a capital A instead of a lowercase a, you can enter an item note and say Wand of Stunning. And that way, even though you haven't officially identified the item yet, you know what it is. A lot of items in this game can also be identified by weight. Generally, you always want to explore every inch of the level for experience and such, treasure and such, before you go to the next level. I'm going to level up the same 3 skills, because that's really all I've got that's good at the moment. And now that I'm level 3, I get to choose another talent. You get talents every 3rd level. And because I took Hardy last time, I can take Tough Skin this time, which adds 1 to my protection value. That's my armor. So everything will do 1 less damage to me, except like environmental effects like fire or something on the floor. Then you go down. We start right next to the down staircase. Obviously, we don't want to take that right now, because we haven't explored this level yet. Now, this looks like a dead end. You can hit the S button to search apparent dead ends. Usually you'll find something like a hidden door. And this one's locked, and we can't... If it's locked, there's a chance it'll be trapped. And I can't go to the side of it to avoid some of the traps because I'm in a hallway. We were lucky. In that case, it wasn't trapped. For locked doors, you can kick them down. Generally, it's advised, at least in the early dungeons, to try to find a way around it first if you can, and then come back to the door and open it if you've explored everywhere else. But, I don't do that. I've lost a couple of characters because I don't do that, but whatever. Door traps can kill you. Some characters, it will kill you. And that's another thing to mention. All the races and classes are not created equal. Some of them are definitely a lot harder to play than others. Some of them are a lot easier to play than others. Like, yeah, I got a fighter, which is a good melee class, but not a good mage class. And it'll have some limitations later on. Wooden shield. Now, wooden shield is generally better than the small shield that I started with. But I'm not going to equip it right now because it could be cursed. Which means that there's a chance I won't be able to unequip it if I need to. Alright, so, you notice right here, on the athletics, which I said was a good raise right now, I've got 61, but my max is 62 because it's not trained very well, which you train by doing athletic stuff in that particular case. All the skills you train by using or doing something related to them, but until it's trained higher, I'm not going to get much benefit from raising it at this point because I haven't done much athletic stuff like carrying heavy stuff or whatever. So I should spend my skill improvement on something else. Find weakness is another good skill because it increases your critical chance. Which crits do massive damage. They do double whatever your weapon damage is, plus ignoring the enemy's PV altogether. So if you had like a D3 weapon and you were doing max damage 3 and then you did 6 because it's a crit, but they have a PV of like 4, so you would only do 2 normally, but it's a crit, so you still do the full 6. So very good to increase your crit chance. Not really anything else here worth leveling. Swimming, occasionally you'll come across the river and have to swim. If you've got low swimming skill, you'll probably drown. So I'll go ahead and raise that. Oh, one of the skills I do not have is literacy. Not everybody starts with the ability to read and write in this game. You have to start with a learning of 10 or higher, and you cannot be a barbarian or beast fighter. I only started with a learning of 9, so my character cannot read. Which isn't important very much in the early game, but in the mid to late game it will be important because a lot of scrolls will help you out a bunch. Okay, large ration is good, because you need to eat. Oh yeah, you actually have to keep track of food in this game. So far I haven't needed to eat, but you can eat corpses when they drop. Don't eat cold-boiled corpses, they'll make you sick, but most corpses are good to eat and will give you beneficial effects sometimes. Oh, and I found a tension room. Oh, yep. You see that message right there? You sense a certain tension. It means there's a room like this. Oh, sorry. Somewhere on the level, that's just the whole room is filled with monsters. In this case, the monsters were bats, but it can really be any monsters or even a mix of monsters. Mixed tension rooms are very dangerous because you'll get out of level monsters sometimes. See now, since I've been running around, that went from 62 to 70 max, so now it's good to raise again. It's very nice. Get armor, melee potion, and I can eat the giant bat corpse. That'll keep me from getting hungry later. I'm going to grab some rocks, just so I have some sort of ranged weapon. Studded leather that I picked up is generally a little bit better than the regular leather armor, but not always a whole lot. So I'm going to wait, especially since I don't know if it's cursed or not, or if it's any good. Because the stats in the armor are random. Alright, and then I reached level 6. Level 6 you gain your first class-specific ability, which is obviously different depending on which class you play. I think the Thief has the best one. It automatically searches for secret doors at every step. But the Thief is a really hard class to play. Fighter, it's not so good. It gives you a 7% PV bonus from some items. What that really means is your total PV is increased by 7%. But since my PV is only 6, not even 10 yet, I don't even get a +1 from that yet. So that's really not so good compared to a lot of other class abilities at level 6. Also, because I got the hardy and the tough skin earlier, I can now get iron skin, which adds to my armor some more. Which that actually does apply to the bonus I just got. So now I have enough to get a +1 bonus to my armor. Which is not a lot, but it's one more damage that I'm not taking. Which, when you've only got so many hit points, is a good thing. I found a melon and a spider. Spiders are dangerous only because they can poison you. And their corpses, when you eat them, will poison you, but they'll also give you poison resistance, so you'll be poisoned less often when you eat their corpse. Or for less turns total, rather. Even though you can do everything by clicking, I usually use the keys because they're faster. Numpad actually lets you move around. P picks things up. T lets you shoot. I haven't shot anything yet. Another locked door. Kick. That one was booby-trapped. It says a stone block drops from the ceiling. You barely evade it by jumping backwards. Evading those are entirely random. I got lucky this time. If you have higher dexterity, you got a better chance of evading it. But a lot of the times, it'll drop on your head and do lots of damage. That's why you want to open from the side if you can. Like right here, I'm stopping and then opening from the side in case it's booby trapped. Dark rooms are other things you have to be careful about in the early game. later on they're more helpful to you because not very many enemies actually see in the dark. You can use that as an exploit in a lot of areas. Well, not a lot. Oh, and my axe just got destroyed by a booby trap. I got hit by an acid spray. And I do not have any other weapons. So I guess I'm going to equip a torch. Torches are not actually considered weapons. They don't train anything, I don't think, except maybe clubs. But a lit torch will actually do 1d6 fire damage. But you have to actually light the torch. And I don't know how to actually do that from here. Let's see. I've never actually wielded an unlit torch. Usually I have, I'm playing a priest and he has an ever-burning torch, which is automatically lit. I'm not actually sure how to light it from here. So I'm going to unequip it and just attack barehanded. Which is not very smart, but what can you do? It's early game, I haven't found a bunch of extra weapons yet. Oh, and that one stunned and blinded me. That's temporary, but dang. Fortunately, it's early game, the monsters are still pretty weak, and I can actually kill them by punching them. If I were in any other area, that wouldn't be possible. You notice these are rabid dog corpses. Obviously, rabid dogs are sick dogs. Do not eat them, you'll get sick. This guy is a friendly NPC. He's a healer. If you chat to him, he'll give you the option to learn to be healed or just get healed. But to learn to be healed, you have to prove you can exert mercy. One of the things you can do to do that is to heal something injured by throwing a potion at it in his line of sight range. Or if you're a healer yourself, actually use the heal skill on them. But another way to do it is to get to the bottom floor, floor 7, lead the village dungeoner, who's actually gone crazy from chaos, up to him by running away a whole bunch until you get back to him, and he'll heal him, and then he'll teach you healing. And if you're not lawful, you can also talk to the thug in another village nearby Torino, who will give you a quest to kill him. And as a reward for killing the healer, the Lowenthal, or however you pronounce it, doctor, will teach you healing instead. But he'll also drain some of your stats to do so. So, it's a lot easier to do that, but it's a lot better to just get to the bottom floor and run away from the carpenter until you reach the top floor again. Or reach the healer again. Anyways, probably getting boring at this point, so I'm going to cut the video short before we actually finish the quest. But that's Adom, it's Ancient Domains of Mystery. Very in-depth roguelike with very good story. Not as much randomness as other roguelikes. generally after the first or second dungeon, any deaths you suffer are your own fault. Not always, but most of the time. So, very good game. If you like the video, subscribe, hit like. Ask me lots of questions. I like questions. If I get enough, I'll do a Q&A video. And next time I'll be playing something else. Thanks for watching.